All right. How we doing? Welcome to Back It Up, the newest lacrosse YouTube series, bringing together three minds that are super enthusiastic and passionate about the game to help add some value to your life. So we're here to present our show to lacrosse fans, coaches, right? People who are playing the game, the overexcited lax dad. This show is for you. And you're going to enjoy it. I can guarantee it. Corey Winkoff here. I'm the host representing FLG, co-founder of the Long Island Lacrosse Journal. And, of course, I'm here to talk to you on our newest platform, Back It Up, which we're really excited about. We also have Coach Mike Silipo. How you doing, Coach Silipo?
How you doing? I'm surprised I got to go first instead of John. He's a little prettier than I am, so but I appreciate it, Corey.
You're a little louder than I am, so it makes sense.
Yes, certainly louder, more in your face. And how you doing? How's your sauce? From Ithaca College, coach at Boston University, associate head coach, coached the offense there for the last couple of years. Lucky to do so. Glad to be here, and I cannot wait to back it up.
Coach Odierna, to you.
Corey, what's up? How you doing?
Hey,
one thing I love about our dynamic here is we've got two guys from Long Island, although one I'm not sure people would know. And then you got a guy that wishes he was from Long Island. So it's a perfect dynamic. I'm excited to be here representing the Jaspers of Manhattan. Obviously, what's cool about this is got to grow up with you, Corey, and then Coach Silipo was my first friend on the coaching trail. We met back in 2012 or 11, I want to say, summer of 11 or 12 at Elite 180 camp. We were just a couple of boisterous first-year assistants. You were at Williams. I was at Colby, repping the NESCAC, which was kind of cool. I think we were, a breath of fresh air for some people or annoying to some people, depending on your outlook. But obviously here to provide another perspective as the defensive coach at Manhattan, and ready to back it up. And like Silipo would say, how's your sauce?
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I want to bring some light to this Long Island thing. Family's from Queens, all right? And so to get to Long Island, you got to go through Queens. And to back it up even more, John, our first time together, who was our favorite kid? Kid from Chaminade, right?
That's
I
true.
can't remember his name. LSM. We had him playing. Yes, thank you. We had him playing top center in our 3-3 at Elite 180.
With a pole.
Kid was a beaut. Yeah, a beaut.
Right, so back it up. What is it? Well, we mentioned we're a lacrosse show. I mean, one of the cool things about the show, our plan is to bring on the best coaches in the sport. Our plan is to break down some of the best games from past all the way to present. Our goal is to offer some of the best insight that you can get, so that way you can kind of take that information and you can apply it to your team that you coach, right? You can apply it to your conversations as you talk to some other lacrosse enthusiasts. And I think as we dish out and offer up and serve up some great content, I think it's going to be pretty entertaining along the way too. Not to mention there'll be some opinions flying around that, of course, you got to back it up. So without further ado, we're going to move into our next segment because this show, Coach Silipo, yes? Is there anything?
Well, I figured we should jump into where Back It Up comes from.
Yeah, go for it. I think you should take the lead on that.
All right, fine. I'm loudest. So what's the one rule that no one understands when they watch lacrosse? When you shoot the ball and the same team that misses the goal and goes out of bounds gets the ball back, because you backed it up. So you always got to teach people what that rule means. And we figured that might be a nice, what's the word, John? I mean, it's a pun, play on words, couple words.
It's also a double entendre because backing it up is you got to have opinions and back them up. I'm a liberal arts graduate, no big deal. So you're welcome.
Gettysburg.
Yeah, Gettysburg.
They don't just have good lacrosse there.
Yeah. Don't. Oh, geez, great. Ithaca, we already throwing the jabs here at the sports studies major, minor in coaching, or?
It's just you perceived it that way, so that's on you.
Fair.
All right, so let's get back to the show breakdown. Each show, not only are we going to do our how you doings, we're going to present some sort of offense versus defense drill in every single episode, which is great. We might have the best offense versus defense drill that the North Carolina Tar Heels do. We might have the best offense and defense drill that helps prepare the Manhattan defense. We might have Coach Silipo's favorite shooting drills. Either way, we're going to be presenting some awesome drills that, again, you can take and go do maybe in your backyard. You can take and go do with your team if you're a coach. Most importantly, you can take it and make either yourself better, your team better, the people around you better, which is what we want you to get out of this show. Third, in terms of what we're doing each and every episode, is going into the film room. We're going to be breaking down some of the best games from past and present. We're going to take a small segment of that game, and we're going to give a very unique perspective from obviously 2, sometimes 3 college coaches if we have a guest on, which I think is really great for people to enter the minds of a college coach and see what you guys see out there. Because as a lacrosse fan, a lot of times I view the game a little differently than I'm sure you guys do. But I would love to take a page out of your book and see how you guys view it, so that way I can be a little more educated and enthusiastic as I watch lacrosse on TV, which, as you know, is happening more and more. And then last but not least, we call it our outside the lines, or in some cases, Coach Silipo might take us inside the lines, where we take an even more unique perspective, not just looking at the X's and O's and what's happening on the field. We might be talking about the psychology of coaching and just the psychology of being in and around the game. So we'll be talking and highlighting some unique questions that I think not a lot of people talk about in the game of lacrosse. So that's Back It Up. Without further ado, we're going to be moving into our first segment after our How You Doins, which is our Overs D. We got some great drills from Coach Odierna and Coach Silipo here.
All right, well, we're going skewers versus hitchies today. So we're going to talk a little bit about approaching shooters for me defensively. Skewering is how we approach guys that are shooters. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to drive the head of our stick violently through their chest. Quick disclaimer from my buddy Mike Silipo, offensive coach.
Yeah, player safety. I was going to ask.
2 things. 1, player safety. We're shooting tennis balls. You got to be violent on your skewers. Practice how you play, Mike. So the guys will have to absorb a couple in practice for the betterment of giving us a chance to win on Saturdays. And we don't do this drill too often. We don't want to crush each other, but obviously a skill we got to learn. And then shooting tennis balls, right? So trying to teach our guys not to flinch on approaches. What I love is if you see some of these guys, look at the violence here. You guys see our shooter trying to get his hands and his body around. Not great technique, but his body gets blown back. I think one thing you see a lot of when guys go out to close out on a shooter, they want to try to aim their stick at the head of the shooter's stick, right? There's a really low chance of success if you're trying to hit the head of his stick with the head of your stick. We teach it that you're not going to hit the head of his stick. Try to take the head of your stick and drive it through his body. Try to change the momentum of a shooter. And what I love here, you guys see how that shooter can't follow through. This is us against some of our O guys. See how our stick is right through his hands and into his chest? He can't really follow through on the shot, and that's an easy save. We've been really fortunate to be a really good man-down team over the last few years, and a big part of it is
let me do it for you, John. #1 in the country, 2 years in a row. How you doing?
How you doing? And a lot of people ask, what's the secret? It's not a secret scheme or concept. It has a lot to do with our skewers and just affecting shooters. You guys see our stick here? On the approach, through that guy's hands. On the approach, through that guy's hands. And he air melts it. I mean, this is literally a skewer clinic. Clips from the last few years, closing out, getting a skewer. See how that guy can't follow through on his shot? I mean, that's an easy save for our goalie because of that skewer. Here's another one. Let's watch the shooter's body. You guys see how he can't follow through there? That's what we're going for right there. I'm not so worried about hitting the head of his stick. I'd rather take a chunk of his body, put him on a skewer, make him a shish kebab, and disrupt the shooter. And then most importantly, I just want some eyes on our goalie here.
Back it up.
Quick dive, quick back up. This one, another man up. Our guy navigates a seal. You guys see the skewer right through his hands, right? Stick's not up here. Man, look how wide that shot is because of that. That's Kelson Borisenko, Sweet Home Manitoba right there. Canadian. He's a little bit crazy, but we love him. Going to be a 4-year captain because he's coming back using the extra year of eligibility. He's awesome and a key part of our man down. Potential NLL draft pick after he leaves, by the way. One of the best offensive box players in Canada. Kelson, if you watch this, you're welcome. Thanks. I want you guys to focus on where our stick head is here. You guys see that? Ball's still in his stick. We're driving our stick through his chest, and he air mails that one over the net. Another one. You guys see where our stick is? Right into the guy's chest, and we soak the shot. Bonus points for that. Every week for our defense, we do a Grill Master of the Week. Grill Master is the guy that skewered the most people. Remember Miami did the turnover chain?
Oh, yeah.
We do the tong chain. So it's a chain with a spatula and tongs on it for our Grill Master of the Week. We hand that out every week. So kind of a marquee award on the Manhattan defense. And, Mike, I'm curious to see how you attack our our late approaches and our skewers here with a little sauce from the BU boys up north.
All right, so this is just a hitch drill. It's actually a hitch and step over drill. I'm just going to try and paint you the scene here. We're doing step downs from a bucket here with a line here going downhill. We got a bucket here with a hitch drill coming from the from our win, our skip area, so you can attack the middle. A couple different ways you can do it. You can do this as a strict step down drill on the outside, and this is a strict hitch drill over the top. You can also do some where you hitch and roll depending on your hand. But for the sake of this one, we're getting ready for Holy Cross and Bucknell, who are a speed slide team. They're sliding to you before you even step off the bus. So being able to attack late approaches, those skewers, the grill masters, whatever Odierna is cooking, we're trying to, put our own taste of sauce on it and fire up the grill. So I'll try and let this run. I'm going to see a Long Island product right in the start here. So you can see we're throwing it across, hitch, step to the middle. They can do it on the run, or they can crow hop here and try and get it out of their hands quick. We can also show it as they come down, and you can hitch right here and then get downhill in that step down lane. So let me rewind it a little bit again. Here's a lefty coming downhill, catching this, right? Same side step down, small hitch, getting downhill. Now you can see it in the middle, hitching and then rolling back to your strong hand, right? Which is a good one. Here it is again. Timmy Lay, number 19, Massapequa product. A little out of his range, Timmy, but I love you. There it is again from the Big Moose from Missouri. He's got quite the sauce for your skew here. Hitch, how you doing? Okay, and now you can see it again. I'm just going to show you here. Here's a righty hitching, rolling back, high to low, fundamentals. I'm going to show you some stuff in game. The one thing that is hard to kind of coach in those drills, even though I give those guys a ton of freedom, I really just talk about showing hands, stepping at the defender's skewer, and then working around them or underneath them, is the face dodge. I think it's another great way to attack a hitch, attack a skewer, attack a guy who has his head down, is afraid to get hit by the ball, because I'll tell you what, it hurts. But here's a little face dodge action. Game winner, Colgate. Great violence here. This one's sick. Watch the violence here. Oh, God. And now here's that hitch. Get into the middle of the field. Little step back, Kobe. Gets a little lucky, but Kobe, RIP, brother. That one's for you. Little step back. All right. And then here's, again, a little hitch action, right? Hand exchanging. And we end up getting it to 7-11 on the pipe. Chris Gray, do you know him? Here's a little hitch, step over, high bouncer. Those will go.
All coaching, right, Mikey?
Chris?
Yeah.
His development?
Yeah.
You said it, not me. We'll have him on. Don't worry. We'll get down to it. Metzi will probably let you know, too, that, he'll say thank you. But here he is again. Face dodge me. Nice little touch. Here's another one. Yeah, all drill. How you doing? Saucy. Chris again. How you doing? And one more. Roll. Thank you very much. That's how you attack those skewers. A lot of different ways to do it. Give your boys the freedom and let them have some fun and be creative against those guys trying to put that skewer right through you.
What I love here is we get the O perspective and the D perspective. So we do the classic coach battle, like last man with the pen wins. Hold on, I'm going to erase what you did and I'm going to show you what I would do. But that's the beauty of this whole thing. We get two guys at different sides of the field that can give perspectives.
I think it's fantastic. Because a lot of times you get one or the other. Usually it's offense. Not as many people focusing on the defense because it's harder just to antagonize this whole, debate on who has the last word. So that's why I guess I'll take it. But either way, just to recap, Coach Odierna, skewers, ultimate goal, you're disrupting. You're making it harder on the offense to do what they want to do, whether it's execute or exchange a pass or maybe step down and get a free shot off. And I think, contrary or conversely, Coach Silipo and his offensive unit is doing everything he can to elude what you're trying to do to disrupt them. So that might be a hitch, a roll. It might be a swim move, just something to free your hands up, create a little bit more separation, and do what you need to do on the offensive end to ultimately score a goal. So I think, developing in both those areas, I think it's pretty fascinating that you guys brought that into one kind of show here, because it's jam-packed with some really good content and some good stuff to see for lacrosse people alike. So what do you say we move on here, guys, and enter the film room?
All right, let's set the stage here. So we got Duke Notre Dame quarterfinals. This is the third time they're playing each other. Each have won one. We're in Hofstra, and we're under 10. We're tied up. Duke is in the white bucket, white jersey. Notre Dame, gold bucket, blue jersey. And they're attacking here, fellas. What are we thinking here?
I'm just going to come out and say it. Notre Dame's defense is one of my favorite to watch. I think Coach Byrne does an unbelievable job with these guys and their off-ball posture. Just watch these guys off ball. Like they are ready to play. They got a little bounce in their feet. I love it.
No crease here. I like this, getting downhill. But like you said, great posture, great show here, Coach, right? I mean, silky.
Yep, I love it. I'm a stick-in, body-out guy, so I like that technique right there too. They do lose this guy off ball, though. Oof.
Simple two-man exchange on the backside here, just between, this backside skip and this front side here. A little follow.
Yep.
Oh, man. Duke is so impressive. Great athletes, great coaching. To your point, too, against Notre Dame. This is quite the who's got the pen last, John, as you were talking about in their third meeting of the year.
Mikey, can you go back to the hedge? I love this. Sorry, this gets me excited. I love the stick in, like I said, right? So I could touch that a little bit. I love stick in. I know he's not really next to anybody right now, but stick in allows him to check inside if there's somebody in there, right? And I know they just vacated, but when somebody comes inside, he can check down inside and body out. His feet are closer to the Dodger, right? So that Dodger the whole time is seeing a guy in the lane that he wants to attack. I think you can deter so many offensive guys just visually by standing in that space and not chasing your man away from the ball.
Well, it might even be too, Coach, with this little it allows this D-midi, which, again, actually might have been poached from Boston University by accident, but that's a conversation for another day. But it might be allowed to kind of throw this wrap check here because the Dodger is actually trailing off of it, seeing that hedge. Really well coached, Coach G. Really interesting. But now we're kind of back to it. I love this low wing, this low corner, this, hybrid area. Where we can create some contact and up.
That's debatable on that flag, no?
Oh man, he was on his back, sir.
But I have an extreme defensive bias on this. I think that's no goal.
The dive, honestly, but it's really interesting to me that we decided to make the rule harder for the referees to ref. One of my, greatest mentors in the game is Matt Palem, three-time national champion goalie with the Gates brothers. How you doing? Arguably one of the best refs in the country. Was like, what are they doing? Making this harder for me to ref. And he's an incredible ref. And for that to come from him, to put a little bit more gray in an area where it'd be really great if it was black and white.
Right.
All right, man up. 30-second push call here, Coach. We got a little 3-3 wheel on the backside. I love hugging the pipe here, forcing them to play you.
That guy is what creates that shot, right?
Yeah, so we do a lot of this, like Aussie 3-3 is kind of where I got it from Coach Long, one of the greats, Ithaca coach, Navy alum. But we hug both these pipes. We actually do it on the backside as well. We hug them, again, because it creates this spacing here because he's a bigger threat. The goalie would much rather see the shot that he does see. But again, Notre Dame does a great job, like you said, like stick in so he can get his body up field, right, Coach?
Yep.
I'm not trying to steal your D thunder here, but had a little experience at Ithaca. But again, and then I'll let you say it, Coach, on the shot.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to Manhattan College skewering, freeze it, man, what's stopping that guy from driving the head of his stick through this shooter's chest, right? It's just such a low probability of success if you aim for the head of his stick. Whereas if you can get a chunk out of his chest, I mean, I know the shot's not awesome. The goalie makes a good save. But, man, you could take a lot off that shot if you try to drive your stick through his chest.
I'm with you on that.
That would be me.
Popcorn
my D guy. We did the hard stuff. We got out there. We got to where we needed to be. Let's just get a chunk of that guy. This is interesting. It looks like Duke's trying to funnel middle here. Look at this approach when the guy comes out. See how he squares? He's going to spin his right foot here, right there. They're funneling middle here. That's interesting.
From an offensive perspective, I love it. And this is actually one thing that we teach. If you're going to get funneled to the middle, see how wide he'll stay with that stance. Like if you can take him out here towards the box area or literally right where he is, and he's going to maintain that form, I'll take this space all day long. I feel like you're going to manipulate a slide just based on that, but he goes lateral instead of vertical here on his dodge. Still gets a slide, but to your point, Coach.
I mean, it looks like Duke is trying to slide to this, right? They just slid back-to-back times here.
Let's start it over here, right? You're right, Coach. Going to a little weave action.
It looks like that's their plan is funnel, middle, and slide.
Right.
This short stick goes right there.
Right.
There's a little confusion. Then the short stick goes again.
This is what's so dangerous. We'll talk about the redodge in another show, but this is what's so dangerous, I think, about the weave and sweeping is your redodge, unlike an alley corner wing where you're redodging in these areas, when you're sweeping, you then get to redodge in the center of the cage. So he sees this slide to his face. 77 is V holding, Coach. I'm not sure if you're coaching that. A lot of guys are to use their stick to deter the dodger here. But wicked heady here, bang, Ya Doin, oof.
Yeah, the thing I'll say is, I don't know what specifically Duke was coaching there. Like, I don't know what the scheme is, but I think it's interesting because if you're going to funnel middle and slide, then V holding kind of goes against that, right? Because you're trying to turn the guy back. So, I don't know if maybe the pole didn't expect the slide because he's a pole and there's a short stick sliding, but it's interesting. You're funneling middle, so I would think you wouldn't V hold.
Oh, jam to follow. Love it. This is great. Coming from the crease, they're doing that follow again. This is great footwork. We'll show you this drill in an episode one day where in high school, I deal with our guys all the time, and you're always throwing the ball forward to get the ball here. You're so much dangerous as an offense if you can get the ball here from here, right? Because now Notre Dame's got to pre-rotate like this is a step down, right? And they get there, but again, makes you even more dangerous. Oh, nice take here. Squares him up. Gets downhill. Goalie looks like he might want that
doing
back.
A good job off ball there. Just probably a split second late on the slide. They slid. They tried to skewer. I think just a split second late here on the go.
Jo, what's your methodology on stick out body in if you have a righty defenseman trying to cover up that right side of the field?
Yeah, so Mike, if you go back to that, it's a great question.
Done.
If you go back, so I give our guys two options. A big thing that I like to do, and maybe this is maybe a little bit of an offensive mindset. I think offensive guys view the game more gray and defensive guys view the game more black and white. But I like to give our guys some options here. So what I'll tell our guys is I want you to do what's comfortable. Mike, can you highlight that guy, the slide guy who's sticking out right now? Yeah, I tell our guys you can either switch hands and be lefty, stick in, body out if you're comfortable, or I would ask this guy to flip his hips and have his butt up the field so his stick could still be in with his body out. So that requires a little bit more work and you to cover a little more space. But ultimately where I like your body out is maybe you get to this a little bit earlier if you can take more space with your feet out. Whereas if your stick is out and you're taking space, you're not gaining anything because you haven't gotten there yet. So that's where I would say either switch to left or flip our hips, stay righty, but with your butt up the field and your stick in. Options, Mikey, options.
That's why there's a skewer and that's why there's a hitch, right? I mean, there is a counter to your counter, to my counter, to your sauce, to your gravy, to
your meatballs, the whole thing.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Right, if you can force them back here too on a face-off.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the 80-second clock, and Duke has a very standard 4-cross type of clear, a great clearing team because of how skilled they are and how athletic. But again, if you can chew 20 seconds off the clock, 15 seconds off the clock, that's great because now, again, we got a sub. So a lot of teams aren't going to play until they're 6-on-6, because right now we're 5-on-6. Some coaches are, again, at BU, if this was a short stick, we might throw this and attack it, and then this guy coming out of the box can fill one of the later spots. But again, yeah, we might be playing at 55 right now, or low 50s or high 40s. And for any defensive coach, that's a win. You have a fine. Coach Silbs says it all the time. You have a finite amount of time you got to defend for, and so that might help you. Oh, Coach, like you were saying, Jerry Byrne, this is a clinic.
Yep.
Clinic. Hedge.
Yeah,
hedge. I'm getting back. Oh.
And now maybe we need to dive into this a little bit, Mike. If you can run that back.
Done.
I learned this from Coach Brochart. He coaches down at High Point. He was at Michigan before. He's a great guy. He talks about off-ball concepts. So what Notre Dame does a lot, I know, Mike, I think you say hold spots. We use the phrase dead or alive. If we're playing dead, that means we're holding spots, meaning our slide guy's our slide guy, our help is our help. If we're playing alive, that means you've got to stay with your man as they move. So a big reason why Notre Dame can posture and hold these spots is because they are playing dead. You're going to see a front swing here from 31. Yep, that guy exactly. And you're going to see great communication here, Mike, as you run it. He lets the slide guy then take his man, and then he's going to bump out and find the furthest guy away, right? So that's what allows all of that, right? If they're playing alive, that guy's going to end up having to hedge and either go or run 20 yards away and go find his man.
Yeah, I'm going to show it from the beginning, Coach, because you're right. The communication is epic. Watch these three guys communicate. And these are your fills, right? I mean, this is your one slide, your two, and your fill, or however you're communicating it. Watch this. He talks to him. He talks to him. He talks to – it's epic.
It's epic. If you looked up in the dictionary off-ball defense, you'd see that clip come up.
I like how he was so persistent in his communication until there was action taken. I feel like a lot of time guys talk and they're like, oh, I said it twice and they didn't hear me, but it's like, no, you might have to say it a third or fourth time until that guy takes action. But that was pretty – did that go in?
Almost.
I don't know, Coach. We gotta sweep, stretch. Well, and so to your point here, this is where holding spots can get you in trouble because of that communication. This is what I kind of talk to our guys, the OD guys, all the time. If you watch this simple two-man exchange here, right, they're trying to hold spots, but it's your man. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, Coach. I'm not sure how you teach it or how, really even some of the language that Coach Silbs uses at BU, but he is his man until they communicate the switch, right? And so the communication comes a little late. He works up, which allows this front side adjacent, we call it a push, sweep to stretch or drift, whatever the language you're using is, that it gives him the space. I don't think this is an A-plus look, but I think this is a pretty darn good hands-free, how you doing? You got to make a save.
And I will say, if you're going to be a hold spots team, you've got to be an awesome scope team. You got to be able to see what's going on. I think sometimes when you hold spots, guys have a tendency to stare at the ball.
All right, Coach, let me ask you this. You're Notre Dame. You're Jerry Byrne.
Yep.
You got, Manown, short stick, lefty, just under GOE. What are you talking to your boys all week? Are you thinking we're speed sliding? Are you changing your identity because of one situation? How are you prepping, especially seeing as this is the third time you guys have played this year? Yep. I'm sure you've been in this situation potentially before.
Yeah, I think I like to give our guys options, like I said before, and really educate them on the matchups and what are you thinking when you see certain things. To me, we would be speed sliding to this, right? We don't love a goal scoring attackman on a short corner against a short stick, especially a guy that can get underneath and get inside, right? If he's going to get underneath, I think sending a slide is great because this is going to be a borderline impossible feed if he goes underneath, right? So I would like to be going early. Again, I think Notre Dame, you got to do a great job stepping up and basically saying the guy that's equal with the H in the Hofstra on the far side, that guy doesn't matter right now, right? We got to crash down, be ready to go, and just fill the middle of the field.
They get two epic hedges here, right? And then they get back. Like you said, they've handled who the most dangerous guys in the field are and who aren't, and we're going to leave them alone. And
I think a big thing, too, they do an awesome job, Mike, if you run it back again, is they do a great job of reading body language. We talk a lot about that. Read the body language of the guy with the ball. So when he initially goes, like right now, he looks like a dodger. Obviously now he looks like a feeder. Let's see again. right now, going to the goal, we probably got to go there, right? If he's
Right.
head down, it's like the running back quarterback, but for the defensive side of things, right? If he's a running back, he's a threat to go to the goal. If he's a quarterback, we should be falling off and drifting back towards our man.
Totally. Great coaching, coach. Man up here, tied up under 2. What do we got? Same 3-man exchange there.
Yep.
Same tight pipe. What I would really love, and this is kind of where I love that 3-3, is if this crease guy could be higher, it puts a lot more stress, especially on him when the ball is here because of how tight to the pipe he is.
Well, I think
he kind of works up high now.
Ready, Mike? You ready for the counter to that?
Right.
For us, and they bang the shot here. I teach our guys that top center spot. We play kind of like a 3-2. You've got to read the top center guy, right? So if they're straddling the restraining box, you should be standing in the high crease. And if he's going to step into you, then you step into him. But don't stand in no man's land and do neither. Don't not apply pressure and not cover the high crease. I actually think Notre Dame does a pretty decent job of that here.
It's the same look as last man up, except for this time the shot goes, right? He's worried about the crease. He does a great job of rolling in and then stepping through the shot, being violent, and high bounces will go. How you doing? Maybe less of those with the new rules.
We've got a walk-off for my Zoolander fans out there.
All right, here it is.
2-man exchange.
Yep, shallow cut. It's a 3-3 battle, coach.
Yep.
In my opinion, the best set. You're in all the dangerous spots on the field.
Especially if you can put Ryder Garnsey on the crease.
Yeah, that's casual. Oh.
For a quick wall pass.
That's a great point.
I mean, Ryder Garnsey with a quick, hey, how's the family? High swing down to the pipe feed. I mean, unbelievable.
No, but not even that. But your point, if I had this personnel, there's no shot I'm putting probably the best player in the field on the crease and man up, right? You know what I'm saying? The fact that he's not in one of these 3 spots just shows you what type of personnel they have. And then it's eat your words, coach.
Yep.
Oh, man. Sweet.
Seriously.
That's sick.
What a pass, dude.
Oh, he's juiced about it, and he should be. Oh, I'm going to come out and Selly with you. We get a dual timeout, and this is where you're going to see where, I think this is where, my twitch and the Notre Dame poaching comes out, and just, me being who I am. Coming out of a timeout, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this. I'm not going big, regardless of how good Ryder Garnsey is, and again, he's one of the best players out there, period. I'm not going big with 2 All-American defensemen, right? You got Giles, and then you got Van Raphorst, and you got how you doing?
Mike, let's go Last Dance reference here. That's going big against Pippen and Rodman right there.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Thank you. Good.
And then freeze it for a second. And I don't want to be, I'm sure they had a rhyme or reason. I actually really like the off-ball action from the other guys. But if you go to the directly ahead adjacent guy, run it when Ryder gets to the goal line. And freeze. That guy's ordering a sandwich at the Coliseum Deli right now. He's got to step in and occupy, right? I know there's obviously I really like their off-ball action. They occupy some guys. But Duke doesn't have to help a ton because of that big. But I just feel like that guy on the ball side hanging out, getting the red star at Coliseum Deli is just jamming up space for them.
No, I agree. I agree with you. This 3-man option right here is really good. I really wish the red star Coliseum Deli man is setting the pick, and that he is the front side push, or maybe hanging out in the crease if he's good, around the pipe, filling what I call grandma's house here, trying to get a snack, as we're trying to play him through this and putting Duke in a really tough spot. Instead, we get a double ball on the ground, bonus lacrosse. Let's just get to it.
Let the boys play.
Awesome ground ball.
Sick ground ball.
Wasn't a tricky spot though.
Timeout.
Mike, what's your sort of viewpoint on that overtime timeout? I know obviously that was a pull under a little bit of pressure. Let's say generally speaking, are you a timeout guy or let him play guy?
I'm a let him play guy. I don't want to, have an opportunity to screw it up. Right. Coaches lose games, players win them. Now, if he's in trouble and I have to maintain a possession, there's a double team, or it's pull on pull, and maybe I just don't feel super comfortable with my, how he carries the rock, I might call a timeout there. But, I think at the end of the day, a timeout is to your advantage because now you can talk to them about different situations that you could do. You could go zone. Now you could also overcook it as a coach, but I'm in the less is more. Don't boogie board, which is a reference that I'll get to one other episode. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, how you doing? But let them play.
Yeah, I think most importantly for us, that just lets me get the guys I need on the field.
Good point.
You're saying defensively, and then also your matchups. You can match up with who you want.
Maybe we put a better ground ball guy on the wing, but he's not necessarily a better defensive guy for a short stick. This allows us to get our best 6 defensively on the field.
Right.
Again, unreal posture by the Notre Dame defenseman on the crease.
Again, yeah, and he gets this little hooky.
We're going to need Coach Byrne to come on. I love it. I love this stuff. It gets me excited.
Yeah, we're going to have to get him on. The episode might be 2 hours because my man talks more than me and you combined, but he's a ledge.
Again, the posture is awesome. I love it. I love that hedge off the crease. Their guys' heads are moving like crazy. Almost get the turnover.
Yeah, this is where I'm saving my timeout for this. The shit moment. Kids show, sorry. To where he kind of gets it and then you get that timeout. That's where I'm saving it for.
Great middle finger.
Yeah. The only thing you can say is, ball don't lie. Man, that's sad. He wants this one back.
You know what's tough is obviously that, but I think like Notre Dame, they got to be one of the best like help defenses in the country year after year after year. And it's just tough, late in a shot clock, you give one up without sending help to a short stick. I think probably a little tired, just probably a hot day. Long Island gets a little hot in May, especially the personalities. But I think for them, you probably go back and there are obviously tons of opportunities to win the game, but you probably want to send maybe some help to your short stick there, just because that's their strength as a defense, is they're so good at that, maybe better than anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
It was great diving into the film room with you boys. Last but not least, our outside the line segment. We're going to be talking about in the college game specifically, what it's like to prepare for, to get your team ready for, right? The psychology behind playing a team more than once in a season. I mean, this particular case, Duke Notre Dame 2019, they played each other 3 times, right? So that's kind of unique. It's rare. It's something that we've seen in lacrosse over the past couple of years, but not we haven't seen it much. So for you guys, how are you getting your team ready? Like, what are your thoughts going into the first game versus the second and then potentially the third? And how do you guys kind of like adjust and change and, approach this thing so that way you're successful when it's most important, which is obviously in the playoffs, right?
All right. I mean, my philosophy on it is it's inexact, first and foremost. I think I experienced coaching against Coach Silipo back-to-back games when I was at Stevens and he was at Ithaca. We won the regular season game. They won the meaningful playoff game, which I'm sure he'll find a way to bring up again, even though I just shared it.
For sure. World honors.
I do think it's really interesting. Playing the same team more than once, I think as a coach, what we're trying to do is stay true to our identity the second time around while introducing some new stuff that our opponent hasn't seen or hasn't seen recently. And I also think a huge dynamic to it too is like, how recently have we played? When we saw them last, maybe we've added some things to our bag of tricks since then. Maybe we just saw them. What was super unique about our games, Mike, was we knew we were going to play each other back to back going into the first one, right? So you enter the game totally different, being like, well, we want to do as little as possible because the regular season matchup isn't as important as the elimination game. And then I'll kind of transition it to, I think so much of college lacrosse coaching is it's week to week. A team can beat somebody by 10 and your opponent just lost to somebody by 10 and then they flip it and they beat you by 10 the next week because of how much time we get. We get a full week. It's like college football. We know, what the other team's attack had for breakfast before we play them in a lot of games because of the amount of scouting we can do. So I do think so much of it is managing the emotions. But finding ways to stay true to who you are while maybe showing your opponent some new wrinkles that still fit what you do and what your guys are good at.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think 2014 senior day, we ruined it and lost, but we won the one that mattered. We actually did that again to your close friend, Brian DeBetta and Stevens as well in 2016. They got a little closer in the playoff game than they did in the regular season game, but just want to, go Bombers. But to your point, man, I mean, I think the difference, especially at Division I level, is those slight wrinkles, especially in man up. You're tweaking things. You're almost showing things at times so that you can do the next variation of it as the season progresses. And it was my first year against Lehigh. We got punched in the mouth at their place. I think we might have scored 5 goals, and like 3 of them were man up. And Coach Poley was looking at me like, do you belong here? And then, we ended up winning 10-4 in the first round of the playoffs against them. And we had another wrinkle for their zone. And we challenged them tough. And our defense that year was awesome. But, it's definitely a mentality thing. It's a mental warfare thing. We played the film at Ithaca for an entire week when we lost that game and they couldn't turn it off. And you're just trying to get a little hatred in them, but you're trying to focus them on the fact what game matters more. Even though, to MJ Last Dance, every game matters, every opportunity matters, and that's certainly the case. But if you can continue your season, you're capable of doing that in the playoffs more often than you are during the regular season. So you're trying to build some juices. You're trying to keep guys confident. At the same time, break them down, and only the best coaches are good at that. So awesome session, fellas. Love talking laps with you guys.
You too. I like the insight. I appreciate you tapping into the emotions, Coach Silipo, because listen, the X's and O's, those are important, right? And putting your wrinkles in, doing some things that are different, your opponent has never seen. But I want to know what are you guys doing in the locker room to get your boys ready? Like playing the video every day? Like that's interesting. I like that.
Heavy. The Naz, the year before I came, Naz they won the championship and beat us, and they filmed the celebration. The filmer did, and they shared the film. Jeff wasn't a big film guy. They shared the film with us with the celebration on it. It was about 3 minutes, and I can't remember what song it was. Oh, it was "Jump Around," the Beastie Boys song, right? Jump. And so that was literally in the locker room for a week straight leading up to that game. And they shattered the disc after I let them break the DVD, and we, rest was history. That was a good class, 2014.
Good year.
I think it's so important.
Good times.
So important, Mike, too, is like create your narrative, right? Like I think that was one thing you learned a little bit from. We're getting very Last Dancey here, but Jordan created his narrative for what was going to motivate him all the time. Right. And I think when I look back at some of our like quote unquote marquee wins or best games here at Manhattan, is we were able to sort of generate a narrative of us against the world, or here are the obstacles we're up against. Here's who says we can't do this. And I do think winning the emotional battle sometimes, the more motivated team, obviously talent's a factor, but if you can get a really motivated group, you can be scary on any Saturday in college lacrosse.
No doubt.
Especially when it's on the line, right? You get a team with their back against the wall when it's, lose and go home. I think a talented team can do some things that are uncharacteristic of what they normally do. So it's pretty cool. That's why you got to love it. Best game on 2 feet, gentlemen. It was a pleasure. It was good. Hopefully you learned something. I know I sure, did and do every time I'm together with these two.
Episode 0. Love it.
Episode 0. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys soon.